Hello, welcome back to the Board Book Geek. Today we are going to talk about AMC's Interview with a Vampire. And I have so many misgivings about this because there's already been a stunning adaptation. And I don't know how they're going to deal with this story given the changes and casting choices that they're making. So first things first, Interview with a Vampire was written by Anne Rice in the 70s. It's a phenomenal read. If you've not read it, read it today, and if you are also interested, I will recommend the film with Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt and Kirsten Dunst. It's rather stunning with a beautiful score and just beautiful. My big question with this series and the choice casting of a black male lead as Louis is how are they going to deal with the slave ownership thing? How are they going to deal with his character's backstory? Because we do live in an age where, you can't talk about black people owning slaves in history because, controversial. My biggest fear is actually Claudia. Though Claudia, in one big sense, is she could be a black child easily. Easily, given her story, given her characterization, given the events that build up to her character and all of this, they could easily do that. Fine. I have no issues with that. They've made her an adult. Claudia in the books is a 5-year-old child. And I get not casting a 5-year-old because I get that one. They did it with Interview with a Vampire, ironically. But what I don't get is the adult storyline. How are they going to do this father-daughter relationship with an adult actress? Are they going to make her look younger? Is there going to be CGI involved? Some sort of trickery? Or are they just aging her up as not to offend anyone? Because people get quite upset over Claudia, which is ridiculous. But this just looks, again, woke garbage. I'm more impressed with the casting of the Mayfair Witches so far. I will say that. I think that's a far better cast. But I don't know how they're going to deal with this story. How are they going to bring these characters with this cast? I don't know how it's going to work. I don't know how they're going to do it. And I worry that it's going to be an in-name adaptation only. I do find the fact that these Anne Rice jump genre, and I will say, despite being gothic horror, there is a very heavy emphasis on history. And some of her books delve, the Vampire Chronicles are historical fiction, others are more urban fantasy. She genre hops. But the backbone of the story is these characters, and this history, real history, is the backbone. My concern is that they're going to water this down, fix it by removing the problematic elements. I really hate that attitude, by the way. You cannot fix perfection. And this is prime example of that, and they're going to screw it up. I know they're going to screw it up. But I just can't figure out the casting choices. I can't figure out... They're going to have to heavily rewrite elements of characters. Backstories, I think they're going to have to deal with... I feel like this is going to be a very watered down, diluted, weak take on Interview with a Vampire. And I'm also questioning how much of the vampire lestat is going to be in this, because really they should have maybe adapted them in a different order. Do the vampire lestat first and then adapt and cross that into Interview, because there is an amazing amount of crossover within those stories. But then there are later stories like Claudia's death that get more fleshed out. I do have my concerns over this. I think so far it feels kind of race-washed and woke-washed, which is something I utterly disagree with in every way when it comes to media. That, these books exist, these characters exist, and they're very well loved. And I think this is going to be a Lord of the Rings situation. I don't think anyone really wants. Having been reading these books for a very long time, and I mean that, like Interview, it was one of the first vampire novels I ever read, and being completely blown away by it. How are they going to deal with this? How are they going to ruin this story? That's a thing as well. How are they going to ruin this story? Because they seem to be ruining a lot lately. And I just think this is going to end up being the same old. We are fixing it. We are making it better. We are taking the problematic elements and gutting the story. Please just stop doing this. I don't think this is going to work. I don't think it's going to be very good. And I don't think it's going to be... Don't think this is going to be good. I could be very wrong, but as a fan I have my fears, because I know what these studios are like. They don't want the property, they want to sell you something more original, and then, yeah, they don't want to sell you something that's based on the property. They want to sell you an original story that's just in name only to sell it. And I just have very little hope for this, given the fact that I'm surprised it's AMC. I always think something like this would probably be better on HBO. Just because, you know, Americans are very sex-phobic. But yeah, I don't know how nudity scares them. I just don't know how they're going to handle this story. I think they're going to destroy it, and I don't have much hope out. Again, I could be very wrong. These are my initial feelings about it. So tell me what you think in the comments below, and I will talk to you guys later.